sector, also the host of a podcast. Josh Ritter's on the show. Good to see you, Josh. Thanks for being here, and Happy New Year to you and yours. If we can, I would like to take a look at a clip with you. So yesterday, when we saw the big announcement of the waiver. We know after Brian Kohberger waived extradition, Pennsylvania State Police spoke out and they took some questions. And what was kind of interesting was the major who was answering some questions got asked by a reporter about what was said by Kohberger or by his parents when SWAT, hit the house and got him out of there at the middle of the night and took him into custody. And the answer was intriguing because it was a really legal answer. And I'm curious to get your reaction. So let's take a look at that clip together now.
What's it about his demeanor when the arrest actually happened?
Present sense impression, as likewise ongoing investigation, can't discuss it.
How said he was taken without incident? Was it safe to say that, I shouldn't say it's safe to say, but did it seem like he was expecting?
I wouldn't comment on what his present sense was. I would just comment that the professionalism of the CERT team and their tactical training definitely proved in a situation like this to do it in the most tactically sound and fastest way possible.
All right, Josh Ritter, your reaction to these law enforcement officials talking about present sense impressions?
They're being very careful about what they say to the media, I think because they're trying to closely guard the evidence that may be presented at trial and make sure that they don't do anything to disturb that. And so that's kind of what he's signaling there when he says present sense impression. He's meaning that that's an avenue by which that statement made by the defendant or his family members might be used at trial, and he doesn't want to disturb that in any kind of way. It's very cautious. It's understandable.
I appreciate it, Josh. When we heard it, my Court TV colleagues, and of course, we talk about all of these things in the newsroom, as I know that you do with all of your legal colleagues. And we were thinking, well, okay, that's something you would hear a lawyer say in a courtroom when they're responding to an objection to hearsay evidence. We hear present sense impression as an exception to the rule against hearsay coming in, that if somebody observes something and right at the same time they're making an observation or witnessing an event, they share, what's going on in their mind. It's their present sense impression of what they're viewing, and so it can kind of come in and evade the hearsay exclusion. So it just struck several of us as kind of odd that the police would be worrying about that, because that's the prosecutor's job later on, right? To get the evidence in at the trial.
Sure, and what it leads me to believe is that there must have been a very extensive conversation that took place between the prosecutors and law enforcement about how to handle this and what are they going to say, what are they allowed to say, and more importantly, not allowed to say. And I think you're right. I think he must have heard that term a few times from prosecutors saying, listen, we cannot mess up any of this evidence. There might be a problem if you start telling the press statements that he made. Will that affect our ability to get those statements in at trial? So you can tell that this jurisdiction is taking this very carefully. They're very cautious about how they're handling even things as nuanced as, statements that he made during the time of his arrest could become very important at trial. And so you can tell that this is important to them and they're taking it seriously.
Most certainly. I'm in agreement with you, Josh. I think that they definitely discussed it. And when we look at the affidavit of probable cause, it wouldn't surprise me if we see some of that language in it. I know sometimes when I was a prosecutor, and maybe you've had this happen when you served as a prosecutor, you would have detectives or officers, submit an affidavit to you, and you'd be looking through the facts, and they might include some of the legal terminology that we will use eventually in the court of law, but say, this person gave their present sense impression to me, or there might be something along those lines where it would kind of make me smile sometimes, because I would think about, okay, I appreciate that, but it's also my job down the road to, identify what it is and how I can get it in under the rules of evidence lawfully. So we'll leave it there for now, but there's so much more I want to pick your brain about. Josh Ritter, so glad you're on the show today. And we want